When Russell T Davies brought back Doctor Who in 2005 in the heat of the Saturday night wars between the BBC and ITV, he was keen to include something irresistible in each episode. And boy did he deliver. Stephen Moffat took this baton and ran with it from Trenzalore to the end of the universe, and Chris Chibnall was no slouch either, giving us a 6-part event series and a showstopper of a final bow. The point is, the past 20 years of Doctor Who is chock full of irresistible moments, from speeches to battles to cliffhangers to scares, and of course, lots and lots of Daleks. So here are just a few of them. This is the 20 greatest moments in modern Doctor Who. Number 20, Kill a Christmas Tree, the Christmas Invasion. John Pertwee famously said that there was nothing more frightening than a Yeti on the loo in Tooting Bec. Russell T Davies understood this in his bones, and his first era was defined by alien horrors lurking in everyday locations. Among the most memorable was the murderous Christmas tree from the Christmas Invasion, a rampaging, razor-branch nightmare ploughing through the walls of Jackie Tyler's flat as she cowered in a corner delivering the immortal line, "I'm gonna get killed by a Christmas tree!" All of which is set to an off-kilter Christmassy music track, courtesy of Murray Gold. This is pure Doctor Who, Christmas or otherwise. Number 19, Rosa Parks takes a stand. Rosa. Doctor Who has dealt with the concept of non-intervention before, most notably in the Aztecs and the fires of Pompeii. However, that non-intervention has never been more loaded than it was in Rosa, when the 13th Doctor and Graham were forced to comply with a racist policy so that Rosa Parks could inspire the Montgomery bus boycott. It's a gut-wrenching scene, and writers Chris Chibnall and Mallory Blackman should be lauded for not going the obvious route and having the Doctor make some inspiring speech to the bus passengers. Rosa Parks is the hero of her story here, just as she should be. It was a Doctor Who historical in its purest, most old-school form, and felt utterly refreshing as a result. Number 18, a silent reunion, partners in crime. Russell T Davies's Doctor Who tends to be a bit sillier and more slapstick than Stephen Moffat's and Chris Chibnall's, and rarely did this work as well than in the big, silly comedy sequence that was the 10th Doctor and Donna's reunion. Having spent the majority of the episode watching them just miss each other, seeing the Doctor and Donna finally meeting at opposite ends of a conference room, unable to speak, is laugh-out-loud funny. And it only gets funnier from there as the pair have to mime at each other across the heads of an unimpressed Miss Foster and her captive journalist Penny. Watching David Tennant and Catherine Tate wordlessly communicate vast chunks of exposition is to watch two performers at the height of their powers. Even more impressive when you learn that Tate essentially ad-libbed the whole thing. Number 17, Constantine transforms, the empty child. The Unquiet Dead had already established that 21st century Doctor Who wasn't afraid to terrify its young audience. But the Empty Child picked up that baton and set out to traumatise a generation of kids with the transformation of Dr. Constantine into a gas mask zombie. It's an incredible scene, from the melancholic exchange between the two doctors about war, grief and loss, to Constantine's desperate questioning of, "Are you my mummy?" It's the fact that writer Stephen Moffat and actor Richard Wilson imbue so much personality into Constantine in such a short space of time that makes the horrifying transformation so utterly chilling, and one that young eyes back in 2005 have not forgotten to this very day. Number 16, The Guardians of the Edge, The Power of the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker's era of Doctor Who saved its best for last. Watching the 13th Doctor share the screen with David Bradley, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann in The Power of the Doctor was an unexpected yet brilliant surprise that made her final episode something truly special. They weren't just cameos for cameo's sake either, as these past Doctors were cleverly woven into the plot, and there was even time for a couple of them to reconcile with their own companions. It was something we never thought we'd see. Doctor Who's present and distant past colliding and colluding to take down their greatest enemy, the Master, while the Edge itself was a fascinating device that could well be worth exploring in future episodes. The Power of the Doctor, indeed. Number 15, The Melody Reveal, A Good Man Goes to War. One of modern Doctor Who's longest-running mysteries was resolved in A Good Man Goes to War, and it was absolutely electric. When Stephen Moffat's on form, there's real satisfaction to be taken from watching him tie things up. Having smartly seeded the clues, the name Melody Pond, Lorna Bucket from the Gamma Forests, and the only water in the forest is the river, Moffat stitched them all together on a prayer leaf, with one hell of an assist from Murray Gold. Number 14, Time Lord Victorious, The Waters of Mars. It's taken me all these years to realise the laws of time are mine, and they will obey me! So says the 10th Doctor in one of the most remarkable sequences of his entire era. In this one mad moment, the 10th Doctor says the quiet part out loud. He's the last of the Time Lords, and he has mastery over past, present, and future. And why doesn't he exploit that more often? It was a powerful moment that wasn't afraid to show the Doctor as a more complex, antagonistic character. In the modern television era, it would never have been enough to simply see the Doctor as a two-dimensional goodie. And so the Time Lord Victorious revealed the monster the Doctor could become if left unchecked. Bonus points for the preceding sequence of the Bowie Base 1 crew being wiped out by the flood. The sense of dread, of desperation, of hopelessness. It's a truly brilliant slice of dramatic television that lives long in the memory. Number 13, Speech to Akhaten, The Rings of Akhaten. It's a bit of a cliche when talking about Matt Smith's portrayal of the Doctor, but there were times when he really did nail the idea of an ancient god inside the body of a young man. And one of those moments was the speech he delivers to the old god Akhaten in Series 7's The Rings of Akhaten. The emotion and weariness that Smith puts into lines of dialogue like, "I walked in universes where the laws of physics were devised by the mind of a madman," proved just what a great Doctor he truly was. He's not even performing the lines to an actor. He's delivering the speech to a visual effect, and a rather stunning visual effect at that. Incredible work all around, especially when you have that added layer of Murray Gold's beautiful music. Number 12, Hello Sweetie, The Husbands of River Song. If there's one takeaway from the past 20 years of Doctor Who, it's that yes, the Doctor can fall in love. Sure, we'd seen it with the 10th Doctor and Rose, but arguably the moment that the show explicitly confirms it is when the 12th Doctor turns to River Song and says, "Hello, sweetie." After all, it's in response to River's assertion that the Doctor wouldn't be stupid enough or in love enough to stand alongside her. After spending the first 40 minutes of the episode comically delaying the inevitable, the eventual payoff just makes your heart swell with joy, in no small part thanks to the amazing chemistry between Peter Capaldi and Alex Kingston. And then, the Doctor and River finally lived happily ever after. Number 11, I Just Wanted to Say Hello, The Doctor's Wife. The Doctor's Wife is incredibly effective in exploring the loneliness that defines the life of our hero. The Doctor's companions always leave them in the end, and the only constant is his TARDIS. What would it be like if they could actually converse with each other? There are definitely flaws, but the core idea of the 11th Doctor finally finding someone who understands him, only to have them ripped away, is devastating. Except the final interaction between Idris and the Doctor isn't a goodbye, it's a hello. There's something hopeful and so beautifully melancholy about that, and it's played to perfection by Saran Jones and Matt Smith. It's a moment that could so easily have been a bit hokey, but instead it'll have you sobbing into your custard creams. Number 10, Breaking Through the Wall, Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent is the best example of Stephen Moffat's love of tricksy plotting and exploring the Doctor's psyche. By literally locking him inside a puzzle box, he gets to explore who the Doctor really is. Terence Dix once stated that the Doctor was never cruel or cowardly, and never gave up or never gave in. The climax of Heaven Sent pushes this to the extreme by having the 12th Doctor endure 4 billion years of unimaginable pain to punch his way through a diamond wall without once bowing to his Time Lord captors. All set to the rousing tones of The Shepherd's Boy, Murray Gold's finest composition for Doctor Who, and edited to perfection by Will Oswald and Rachel Talalay, it's a sequence unlike any other in Doctor Who history. Number 9, The Curator, The Day of the Doctor. Tom Baker's cameo in The Day of the Doctor was monumental. With the exception of the canonically dubious Dimensions in Time, it was the first time that Baker had played the Doctor on screen in over 30 years. Seeing him share the stage with another Doctor is incredibly rare outside the odd convention appearance, so it was a minor miracle that Baker and Matt Smith had such extraordinary chemistry together in their one short interaction. An utterly magical, spine-tingling moment that brought together the past and present of Doctor Who, while simultaneously setting it up for the future. Truly the cherry, or should that be jelly baby, on the top of the 50th anniversary cake. Number 8, Bad Wolf Bay, Doomsday. Doctor Who's multiverse-crossed lovers Rose Tyler and the 10th Doctor broke a nation's hearts when they were separated on Bad Wolf Bay in 2006. The relationship between the 10th Doctor and Rose caught the imagination of the general public in a way that was brand new for Doctor and companion pairings. We all love a doomed romance, and what else could a love story between a 900-year-old Time Lord and a 19-year-old retail worker be but doomed? Their final farewell has been dulled a bit by Journey's End, but burning up a sun just to say goodbye is still such a beautiful way to depict the tragedy of the Doctor and Rose's parting. They really should have stopped Tennant's hair from flapping about the place though. I mean, he is supposed to be a hologram. Number 7, The Doctor meets the last Dalek. Dalek. When Davros was introduced in 1975, he became the de facto spokesperson for the Daleks, which kind of reduced them. So it was incredibly powerful when, in 2005's Dalek, the 9th Doctor and one of his arch-enemies went eye-to-eye stalk for the first time in what felt like ages. It was also a confrontation that we'd never seen before, brimming over with violence and anger due to the recent scars left by the Time War. It completely changed how we looked at the relationship between the Doctor and the Daleks, and has continued to define them since. It's exactly the sort of scene you cast Christopher Eccleston for, and by delivering this rage-fueled monologue at what he labels a great space dustbin, he proves what a phenomenal Doctor he truly was. Number 6, Stonehenge speech, The Pandorica opens. The 11th Doctor staring down all of his enemies and challenging them to try and take the Pandorica is an incredible moment from Matt Smith's 5-star first year in the role. Forgetting for a moment that this is basically part of the Alliance's plan to imprison him, the Doctor plays the role of the unwavering hero impeccably. No plan, no backup, no weapons worth a damn. Oh, and something else. I don't have anything to lose. It's not just Matt Smith's delivery that makes this such a great moment either. There's the rising score from Murray Gold, the glittering array of alien ships hovering and swooping overhead, and the earlier Stonehenge location work that makes this replica feel utterly real. The best, most Doctor Who thing of all, however, the fact that he drops the microphone right before his big heroic speech. Moffat, you cheeky, brilliant devil. Number 5, Rose meets the Doctor. Rose. Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life. Included in an early teaser trailer, these were the first words we heard from the 2005 revival of Doctor Who. And well, don't they just sum up the last 20 years better than anything else? In the context of the episode, it's one of the best ever introductions to the Doctor. He's in the thick of the action, saving people's lives, blowing up evil aliens, but still taking a second to say hello and ask your name. In just a few words, Russell T Davies and Christopher Eccleston solidified the Doctor for a new age, and it's an approach that continues to influence the show to this day. Number 4, You Are Not Alone, Utopia. The Sutekh reveal in The Legend of Ruby Sunday was an earnest cover version of Russell T Davies' incredible master reveal in Utopia, and there's a reason he chose to replicate it. Professor Yana's mysterious origins, his fob watch, and the face of Bo's dire warning all come together at the end of the universe in one of Doctor Who's most thrilling cliffhangers. The Doctor's realization of what Yana spells out and the voices of the old masters is edge-of-your-seat stuff, topped off by Derek Jacobi's memorably serpentine delivery of the words, I am the Master. And let's just have a round of applause for Jacobi's performance in general, actually, shall we? Yes, the Master's alias somehow being an acronym for You Are Not Alone is ridiculous. But what a ride it was. That feeling of impending doom is something Doctor Who has almost never done as well before or since. Number 3, Hello Sarah Jane, School Reunion. The moment in School Reunion when Sarah Jane Smith finds the TARDIS and realises that Mr. Smith is actually the Doctor is such a heartwarming moment. It's beautifully directed and performed as David Tennant and Elizabeth Sladen start off cool and detached before moving closer and closer together until they're the Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith again, running off to fight the monsters. It was the moment that any doubts about whether this was a reboot or a revival melted away, along with the decades that had passed since Elizabeth Sladen last played Sarah Jane, our Sarah Jane. To see her back in the show again was a proper delight, and it was like she'd never been away. Number 2, Vincent's legacy, Vincent and the Doctor. Vincent and the Doctor is an extraordinary episode of Doctor Who for a number of reasons. Chief among them is the final scene in which the Doctor and Amy take Vincent van Gogh to see how he was remembered years and years after his death. Surrounded by his work, seeing it appreciated by future generations, Vincent is overwhelmed by the love for his art, and we're overwhelmed watching him. Bill Nighy enhances the scene with his passionate speech about Vincent's life, while Tony Curran tackles a challenging moment with impressive levels of vulnerability and earnestness. However, this doesn't heal Vincent's pain, whose mental health struggles are rooted in much more than the lack of appreciation for his work. It's a complex and honest portrayal of depression that to this day feels groundbreaking for Doctor Who. Number 1, Where I Stand is Where I Fall. The Doctor Falls. Peter Capaldi's speech in The Doctor Falls is an extraordinary moment that poetically sums up who the character is and what marks them out as different from other heroes. The Doctor doesn't stand for truth, justice, and the American way. He saves lives because it's the right thing to do, because it's kind. Just kind. It's an excellently constructed scene, from Peter Capaldi's insistence that the two masters should walk away from him to Murray Gold's decision not to place any music over the speech. It's pure, undiluted Peter Capaldi, and he speaks for not just his incarnation, but every single incarnation of the Doctor, from 1963 to now to well into the future. If any moment defines the Doctor, defines modern Doctor Who, and defines Doctor Who in general, it's this one right here. And that concludes our list, but of course there have been so many great moments in the past 20 years of Doctor Who, so let me know your favourite moment in the comments down below. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.